Hi everyone, Spider-Man 1991 here, and I'm here to do my comic reviews for the week of December 7th, 2011. Only 4 more weeks to go, and we'll be entering 2012, which, according to the Mayans, might be the end of the world. But enough about the spirits. Let's talk comic books. First of all, we're starting off with Marvel, as usually these reviews go. And basically, this first issue is something of a series that I started reading, but I dropped after the first story arc was finished, and said I was going to pick up again once they got a new writer on it. I heard about this issue, and I just decided to check it out just to know more about the details, because all I found out about was basically the gist. And well, it's Avengers number 19. The lineup has changed. The lineup for the Avengers has changed yet again. This is something that happens a lot in this book. But anyways, it made a big deal about it. So I decided to check it out at first this week, just because I thought I kind of want to get into more details as to how it happened, rather than just hearing about other people who've reviewed it. Just sort of summarize it, but unfortunately with me, you're gonna get the summary too anyway. So the order has changed yet again. The Avengers has decided to this takes place after Fear itself. So, Steve Rogers and Iron Man kind of agree that they need to get some new members onto the team and stuff. And basically, first Captain America talks to Black Panther about joining the team. But T'Challa says no, he can't do it because he still has business here in Hell's Kitchen. But Black Panther recommends to Captain America that he doesn't just need old faces, he needs firepower. And so Black Panther recommends his wife, X-Men, Storm. So now Storm is officially an Avenger. And also, Tony Stark reveals that he's successfully rebuilt the Vision. Yay! The Vision right here, who also you may know, who's also in Young Avengers Children's Crusade. So I'm not so sure what the implication here is, that maybe we have 2 Visions now, or maybe not. I have no idea. It's been a while since I've heard any word about whether or not that we're gonna get issue 8 anytime soon of Young Avengers Children's Crusade. But anyways, back to Avengers. Tony Stark has rebuilt the Vision, and basically now the Vision's back and everyone's happy. And also, Captain America gets S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Daisy Johnson, aka Quake, to join the team, because apparently she was one of Fury's men, and we're not so sure if she has powers yet or not. Anyways, Spider-Man and Wolverine also decide that they quit the team. Well, not the Avengers altogether, they're quitting this Avengers team, but they're still staying on Luke Cage's New Avengers. They really need to think of a better name for that series. Anyways, at the press conference, the new team is revealed, and then Norman Osborn shows up, and he pretty much makes a big deal about how he was arrested and put in prison without a proper trial and stuff, and that's where the issue ends. So, Avengers, if you're just interested in knowing who's on the team now, if you haven't heard about it yet, I'd say get it. If you're a fan of the Vision, if you really like the Vision and Avengers, then I would definitely say you should start picking up the series now, I guess. But, again, for me, I really couldn't take Bendis writing any kind of Avengers book anymore, so I decided not to read it. But that will change soon. I'm going to upload an Avengers log after this to explain why. Anyways, now for next comic, Avenging Spider-Man, number 2. And like the first one, this one comes with a free digital copy. So, I don't know if this is Marvel's idea of dated digital releasing, but it's a lot better than DC's, where to pay for to get both the paper and the digital copy costs you about $6, but for Marvel, though, you can just get the print and the digital for all $4, but this is the only series that's doing that so far. I'm not so sure if it's going to remain after the first story arc, but it's very interesting. This is probably going to take off Toxity, but Tox, my friend Toxy on YouTube, you should check out his channel's on my his channel link is on my channel, so check it out if you get the chance. But Talks, I know you had trouble with downloading the first issue. Well, I entered the code for the second issue, and I actually got it, and I read it. Not digitally, I read the print version, but I successfully downloaded the digital copy. Anyways, what happens in Avenging Spider-Man number 2 is that the giant worm beast that ate Spider-Man and Red Hulk last issue spit both of them up, and Spidey and Red Hulk discover a moloid village that's in ruins, and it was attacked, and there's a bunch of like injured moloids, children and stuff, and they kind of explain what happened to the moloid, what happened, and sort of where J. Jonah Mary Jameson is. And anyways, what's going on with Mary Jameson is that when he was brought to the warriors that attacked the village and took over the underworld and dethroned the Mole Man, apparently because Jonah misinterpreted their language, because they're speaking a whole different language, Jonah misread them, and by refusing to bow, he unintentionally challenged the main leader of the warriors, Raktar, to a duel for Throne of the Underworld. And so now they're pretty much, Jonah's like, what the hell's going on? And the warriors are fitting him with armor and stuff. And Raktar takes out this like special sword or whatever that has that I think has mystic properties or something, according to the mole people. And then fortunately Spidey and Red Hulk arrive, and when Red Hulk shows up and starts talking a bunch of trash, the mole warriors assume that Red Hulk is supposed to be Jameson's champion to take his place in the duel, and Red Hulk says, "Sure, why not?" So he charges in, ready to fight ready to fight Raktar. But unfortunately, apparently, this blade is pretty powerful because it was able to because Raktar was able to slice Red Hulk's skin, and stab him like right through, straight into his heart. I mean, the blade didn't go all the way through, but it went in pretty deep. And this shocks everyone, and it's funny when you see the different reactions. Spidey's like, "Rolk?" Mole Man says, "All hope is lost," and then Jonah says, "No shit." They don't actually print the word, it's bleeped out, but you get the idea of what Jonah says. It's shocking. Avenging Spider-Man. Well, I don't know. I mean, this is great if you want to see Spider-Man interact with other heroes. Okay, if you've always wondered, hey, what would Spider-Man be like in an adventure with Red Hulk or someone else? Well, I would say if you're a fan of Red Hulk and Spider-Man and you wanted to see the two together by themselves on an adventure, then I would recommend this. But I'm probably gonna drop this again. I feel like I'm not exactly. I like it, but it's not something I want to stick with on a regular basis. And besides, once this story ends, the new Scarlet Spider series is going to come out. So I'm probably going to drop this off my regular pull list so I can pick up Scarlet Spider. But I think with Avenging Spider-Man, really, if there's a hero, if you're a Spider-Man fan, and since this series is always is going to feature Spider-Man teaming up with another hero, my recommendation with it is that you should check out the solicitations in advance, and if there's going to be a hero who's your favorite and he's teamed up with Spider-Man, and if Spider-Man's also one of your favorite heroes, then I would recommend that would be a good story to check out, because, I mean, really the best way to enjoy it might be an on-off basis by which characters you like or stuff. Of course, that's just my opinion. Now, moving on. Amazing Spider-Man 675. Spider-Man and Carly break into the NYPD morgue because Carly was pretty much chewed out by the new police chief that not to work on this case and stuff. But she needs to help work. But she promised Peter that she'd help him and stuff. And since the new chief isn't a fan of Spider-Man either, they both have to sneak in order to take a look at any evidence. So while Carly and Peter are inspecting the bodies of the teen suicide jumpers, because they think they're linked to this whole penthouse robbery that have been going on since the end of Spider Island and stuff. they discover a sort of residual magnetic charge on the bodies. Then later, when they exit the morgue and go on the rooftop, they then realize that most of the deaths of the jumpers happened on the same night the burglaries commenced, and they don't think it's a coincidence. Then MJ calls Peter and tells him to tell her that Gloria Grant's boyfriend was attacked by some guys who seemed very supervillainish, and that apparently they kept muttering something about wings, and they exhibited super strength, so that might be something for Peter to check out. And also, this sort of, since Peter's taking the call in his Spider-Man costume, Carly then realizes that MJ also knew that Peter was Spider-Man. More on that later. Yeah, basically the guys who did attack Gloria Grant's boyfriend are sort of the Vulture's flunkies, or Vulturettes. I think, yeah, I'm calling them the Vulturettes. So anyways, after the Vulturettes commit another robbery, Vulture meets up with them right as they return to their hideout, and he says that he notices that apparently one of the kids has sort of taken some of the loot to keep for himself, and Vulture then apparently cuts off his flying. With just a snap of his fingers, the kid loses control of his wings and he starts to drop. But fortunately, Spider-Man shows up and saves the kid, and then then Vulture orders the rest of his kids to attack Spider-Man. And of course, Spider-Man's having a hard time because there's 3 enemies who can fly, and plus they have these weird laser whip things. But then Carly shows up and reminds him and says that apparently the key to the reason behind the kids flying has something to do with some sort of anti-gravity radio wave, and Peter figures out how to cancel it with his new magnetic webbing that he developed at Horizon. So with his new magnetic webbing, Peter's able to cut off their signal and keep them held up in a web without any chance of escaping. Then Spider-Man focuses his main attention on the Vulture himself, who apparently has developed gravity manipulation powers. Who knew? We don't know how. I don't think there's been any real reason as to how Vulture has these powers yet. If I'm wrong, please give me a little reference in the comments. Sorry, I don't know why I said comics. Anyways, Vulture then pretty much with his new powers attacks Spider-Man and throws a water tower at Carly, knowing that Spider-Man would save the day. This allows Vulture to escape. And after Vulture's escape, later that evening, Peter's back at his apartment working on his webbing and restocking his cartridges. And then Carly goes to talk to Mary Jane about Peter's double life, because she's the only one who would be able to because MJ is the only one Carly could talk about this. And right when this happens, we cut back to Peter, and he's at his apartment saying, "Oh man, I just felt a chill up my spine. I don't think my spider sense isn't tingling. My Peter Parker sense is." Yeah, Pete, your ex-girlfriends are talking about you We're talking about you. I think that would make any guy's spider sense tingle. So, yeah, that was a really funny ending right there. This is just the Vulture story was pretty interesting now. I think the Vulture is starting to make a comeback, which is great, especially with this development of new anti-gravity powers. I don't think he always had those, because he's always flown by a special suit, and now apparently the power is within him. That sounds pretty new to me. And again, though, this is the the story kind of concludes here. Next issue, Spider-Man is gonna run into the Sinister Six. Okay. My verdict on 675, if you read the last issue, it's great. I think this is it's a nice little interlude. This is just a nice little sort of interlude story for Spider-Man. I mean, it's just 2 parts, so it's pretty simple. He fights the Vulture, but unfortunately the Vulture got away, and now we learn something new about the villain. I'm not saying it's praiseworthy as Spider Island, but it's still pretty interesting. So yeah, if you get the chance and you read the last issue, pick it up. If not, then wait till. If not, and you're trying to get back into this series, then I would recommend picking up next issue, because it might be a one-shot or a start to a new story. Okay, now for my only DC comic of the week, Action Comics number 4. This is pretty much the only Superman title I'm really enjoying right now, but I don't know, my feelings now towards Action have somewhat weaned. Let me explain. Alright, first the story. The possessed technology by Brainiac have now formed these robot soldiers called the Terminauts, and also John Corbin, undergoing the whole Soldier Steel process, has become Metallo, and so the Terminauts and Metallo are attacking Metropolis, searching for Superman. And also on the news, the mayor of Metropolis says that if Superman is listening, please help us, we need you, because for the last few issues, everyone in Metropolis has been turning against Superman. Now, they kind of want his help right now. So Clark transforms into Superman and fights, and pretty much goes and crushes robots. Of course, right when he's fighting Metallo, though, once Metallo appears near the battle, Lois Lane tries to sort of remind, since Metallo isn't really John Corbin, since John Corbin isn't really in control of being Metallo, Lois tries to talk some sense into John and try to bring out the human side in him, and John briefly does get control, but of course, the entity controlling him, or Brainiac, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Brainiac, I can explain in a minute. Anyways, takes control of John again, and he becomes Metallo, and then he finds Superman. He and Superman go at it, and I'd say right after a few pages, John Henry Irons reappears with new armor as Steel. So Steel is now introduced into the new DC 52, and Steel pretty much tells Superman that he's got Metallo, he should deal with the other stuff. And right after Steel shows up, a force field surrounds Metropolis, and suddenly the city is shrunk and put in a bottle on a spaceship, which is held by Brainiac. Yes, I know, I'm pretty sure this is Brainiac, alright? I know I've been going on about this, but this is definitely Brainiac, okay? Because shrinking cities and bottling them, that is Brainiac's MO. Plus, the design of the guy in the spaceship is very similar to Brainiac. And when I say similar, I mean like the same color scheme, because Brainiac is definitely different. He was more humanoid before the relaunch, but now he looks more like a giant centipede. Like a humanoid centipede, really. Like, I mean, he's got the sort of Hi, really sorry about that. My camera battery just died. My camera batteries just died. I had to replace it. Anyways, back what I was saying. Brainiac, he looks more like a giant centipede insect rather than humanoid machine creature. And right after the city shrunk and stuff, back on Earth, General Lane pretty much walks up to Superman and asks him if he can save Lois, and if he can get to the ship and save Lois. And Superman says that he has an idea, but he's gonna need some help, and that's where the issue ends. Also, we get another backup feature to this issue, but this time it's actually worth it because it's not a bunch of behind-the-scenes crap. It's more detail about Steel. And when I say more detail, I mean his fight with Metallo. It's actually extended more for the backup of this issue, which sort of centers on Steel, and it gets inside the head of John Henry Irons, so you have a good idea about who he is and how he thinks and stuff. And the backup story pretty much ends where the main story ended, with Metropolis being shrunk and bottled. So that's Action Comics number 4. Okay, now for the commentary. I guess I already covered why I think about Brainiac, though. He does look more like an insect, centipede, and he looks a lot more sinister than he did before the relaunch, though. I mean, he does look is sort of sinister-y. And also another thing, the backup featuring Steel, it wasn't really that bad. I would say that I'd say that it might be worth the extra $1 just because it's an introduction to Steel. So, I mean, you can't go wrong. If you're a Steel fan, you'll probably like it or not. Anyway, and this is the weird thing I noticed in this issue, though. I'm not so sure I'm not sure if this was a writer, if this was because of the artist's mistake, but Superman's shirt in the actual issue is white instead of blue. What up with that? I mean, come on. I think that's weird because, I mean, it's blue on the cover. It's been blue since issue 1. Why is it white now? I mean, it just seems weird. I mean, it seems like a mistake done by the artist, but I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or a mistake. It just bugs me a little. That's all. I mean, it seems weird. Anyways, also one more thing about this. When the main story ends, the little teaser note you get at the end of every single main story of a comic, it says that this story will be concluded in issue 7, and we're going to have 2 issues of interlude. What the hell? Seriously, what the hell, man? Alright, we're almost to the ending, but now we're going to get 2 issues of filler until we get to the actual conclusion. Come on, if you want to give us 2 issues of filler, that's fine. Just wait until you conclude the story you're actually telling. Alright? This better be worth it, Grant. I'm talking to you, Grant Morrison. The conclusion better be worth 2 issues of filler. Although the teaser does say that by the way the teaser sounds, the next issue might deal with Superman's flight to Earth, as in when he was a baby, when Kal-El was put in the rocket and shot to Earth. It might deal with I think it might deal with Superman's last day on Krypton and then being found by the Kents. That might go into a little more detail, which could be interesting, but still, it's really annoying to add the filler right before the conclusion. Alright, I mean, come on, we get enough of that from TV seasons where it's like, okay, we're almost to the season finale, we're almost to the awesome finale, but wait, oh no, we got 2 crappy filler episodes. What the hell, man? I mean, come on! Okay, here's another metaphor for you. You're in an airplane, you're almost to your destination, but then they say, oh, wait, we gotta fly, we can't come in yet, we have to circle around a bit for like 20 minutes or something while you wait. Annoying! That's what this is. Still, though, Action Comics, well, is it worth it? Well, I think now, for the main story, people are starting to warm up to Superman, and with this, since the backup feature to this is an actual story, I'd say it's worth the price. But I don't know. For right now, I was going to give this a lot more positive, but then we got to the teaser saying that we have to wait till issue 7 in order to get to the conclusion of this. It better be good. That's all I can say. The conclusion to this in Action 7 better be good. Otherwise, it's going to really piss me off. Okay. Alright, so last thoughts. Action Comics number 4. It still holds up, but now we have to deal with filler until we get to the actual conclusion. Hopefully, they'll all be good. Amazing Spider-Man 675. Very short story that sort of reintroduces you to the Vulture. Check it out if you're a Vulture fan. If you haven't read this series yet, then I'd wait till next issue to start picking it up again. Avenging Spider-Man number 2. Teaming up with Red Hulk. This seems like the kind of series where if you want to see Spider-Man team up with your favorite hero, then I'd wait for a story featuring said hero. And Avengers number 19. If you're curious about what happens when the team changes its lineup, pick this up. And if you're a Vision fan, I would say start picking this series up again. And that is my comic reviews for this week. Spider-Man 1991 saying, see you later.